people that listen to our podcast, you know what they want to hear? They want to hear four grizzly bears getting down on some bullshit. That's what they want to hear.
Welcome to the Drivers Project podcast, featuring hosts Dominic Scelzi, JJ Hickle, Sam Hafertepe Jr., and myself, Daryl Turford.
We're back with another Drivers Project podcast presented by Kaiser Wheels. I have Dom, JJ, and Sam with me. JJ, you had the most peaceful weekend of everyone. Why don't you take us through it?
Yeah, Saturday night we went to Knoxville with the Matt Morrow 2M, and honestly, it really wasn't very peaceful. It was pretty chaotic all night. We had a new motor in and just had a bunch of little issues, and it just kind of had us behind the eight ball all night. We never really did get anything solved, as far as we never got it where it was supposed to be by the end of the night there. So it made it a really long night. We just kind of struggled and floundered around the back, honestly. So Saturday night was pretty disappointing. We showed up with high hopes, excited to kind of see where we'd qualify and see how it'd shake out, because everybody knows at Knoxville it's a lot easier when you qualify good. And so that was disappointing. Then Saturday night, Blake and I took our 360 out to Burlington 34 Raceway with the Sprint Invaders, and we had a pretty good run there. We started fourth, finished third in our heat, so we missed the redraw for the dash. So I started eighth in the feature and got up to fourth, and honestly, it was a really fun racetrack. They peeled up the bottom and the top a little bit right before the feature, and it's most fun I've had racing in a little while there. Just had a good time and brought it home in one piece. So overall, definitely a pleasant weekend, comparatively.
Dom, you had a less peaceful weekend. Could you take us through your weekend in California?
Yeah, we didn't have a bad weekend. Just we ran the fair race. They split the fields up, so half went on Thursday, half went on Friday, and the top five guys on Friday were the five guys on Saturday. So I went Friday, and we were 11th quick, didn't qualify very good, which is the story of our life. Really just struggling with speed in our race car. I mean, we can race, I think, really well for the most part, but we're horrendous when there's, a clock that's running. And we went third to first in the heat race. That put us eighth in points, which put us on the pole of the feature. We led the first 6 or 7 laps, and then the bottom started to go away, and I moved up about a lap late. I moved up, and Sanders was already, to me, so he slid me into 3, and then I followed him for another 10 laps or so, 8 or 10 laps, and got into the curb wrong into 1, I would say 3/4 of the way through, and hung my right rear off the edge, and Gallaudet got by me, and then the three of us kind of just ran on each other's rear bumpers the last few laps. So ended up third, and then in Saturday it was off of your points. So I started on the pole of the heat, won the heat race, got into the redraw, drew the 7, and then we worked our way, what seemed like a really hard battle, up to third, and it ended up running third. So behind the same 2 guys. I felt like we had a pretty good race car, but I think we have a really good race car, honestly, when we're racing. But I don't know. We got to figure out this qualifying thing. We're either way too tight, or we're free and we feel good, but then we got no forward and no mile per hour. So, kind of frustrating that we can't get qualified right now. I've never been a great qualifier, but I've never been this absolutely terrible qualifying. But I don't know. We're working hard to get it sorted out.
So, Sam, how was your weekend? Did anything happen there? Anything notable?
I've had a lot better weekends. The one thing I am proud of out of the weekend, though, we've been I don't know, I feel like we've had a lot of speed in the 410 lately, and we went to US 36 with Power Eye there on Friday night and unloaded fastest hot laps, quick time by, I don't know, a 10th and a half. Really felt like our car was really good. Went fourth to second of the heat. That put us on the pole of the feature. Kind of got jumped on the start there a little bit. Drove into 1, slid up out of 2, left lane on the outside for the 78, and going into 3, just got chopped really hard, and and launched it out of the park, went over the bank. And, you know, I mean, obviously I wasn't real happy about it myself. But the other team thought, I guess it was my fault. And, you know, they were mad at me as well. And then, you know, got pushed in the back, and then we kind of wrestled to the ground, and then got attacked from behind me as well. So got to my pit area. There was shit going on over there. Just a crazy night. You know, you never go to the racetrack, wanting that to be the result. And, you know, unfortunately that's what happened, and picked up all of our stuff. We got to get ready for, you know, points racing this next weekend with ASCS. So came home and tried to start rebuilding and get ready for that stuff.
So I'm really not sure how to handle this. I know, like, our notifications were actually flooded on Twitter X, asking us to discuss this in detail. I feel like I'm so biased that I should probably not talk. And I feel like, just given that we're all friends here, that we're biased on that. So I guess I want to get that across. Like, yes, we understand we're biased in this situation. Dom, I know you've actually called Sam a couple times about this. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, Sam and I talked for an hour the other day, and I don't think that I was biased in any way. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a Sam Bone fan, and you know, Sam completely ran the guy over. There's no question about that. He's a piece of shit racer. Like, we all know how Sam races, and that's just what he does. But in reality, all jokes aside, I'm friends with Sam and I'm friends with Scott. I've never had an issue with either of those guys. I like both those guys. But basically just stating the facts here, and at any point in time jump in here. But how I saw the entire scenario pan out, because I had to go back and watch everything, and you know, just to kind of see it for myself. But you know, it looks to me like, you know, Sam loses the start, and you know, he throws a big speculator into one, and Scott, you know, clears around him, and anyone that's raced there, the place is so banked. And winged sprint cars, I want you guys to remember, have these things on top called wings, right? Which is why they're winged sprint cars. So then on the right-hand side, it's incredibly hard to see, right? So when you go to a place with banking, a lot of times you lose that car on your right side. How it looked to me 100% was, you know, he's closing the lane up and he's going left, be it incredibly aggressive, in my opinion, far too aggressive for the first lap of a race. For my liking at least. And I don't think Sam genuinely saw him until he was already to his right front. And how it looked to me, it looked like Sam was, you know, at that point where he's starting to arc the corner. But if you're arcing the corner, you know that guy's got me beat. I don't think Sam had any intention of racing him back into three. He's just rolling the bottom, or he's going to slide across and try and pick back up and chase him down. And I felt like Scott's move to chop Sam was incredibly aggressive, in the fact, not that like, oh wow, like, why are you chopping a guy that early? It was the actual speed of the left turn that I saw, that it was like, I don't know how someone would have been able to miss it. So they make contact, they flip. My first issue with this whole scenario is not the, in my opinion, overly aggressive chop, or, you know, whatever it may be. It's that we got a car that just went over the banking, and we've got cars crashed, but we have a car we can't see. So first thing I feel as a safety guy is, I've got this guy I can't see that just took a digger. We need to at least make sure he's not on fire or, you know, impaled or anything like that, which didn't happen, which I don't like that. I think any series, they need to be tending to the guy at least making sure he's physically okay and the car's not on fire when we're off of the racing surface. So I would have said that if Scott would have gone off the racetrack, it's the same thing for me. Like, I just think that's incredibly unsafe. I like the fact that, you know, when Sam pulls himself from the rubble and he's got to climb 30 stories of banking to get back onto the racetrack, and him and Scott have an argument, and you know what? It gets physical and they roll around. I got zero issues with that. I think, you know, it's two passionate guys that, you know, are hard racers that are pissed off at each other. Sometimes shit's going to escalate. And it did. But the fact that there's a car owner on the racetrack that quick, and there's basically no safety crews checking on either of these guys. They're not even worried about anything, is the perception that I get. I find it being a severe problem that we have someone from the pit area out on the racetrack, and now it's not just the two drivers rolling around or sorting it out or whatever. I felt like that escalated everything, because now you've got two guys yelling at one person, which I don't ever think is the right thing to do. The drivers need to sort it out, or the car owners need to sort it out, but the fucking crew guys have nothing to do with the situation like that, and they need to keep their mouths shut. And if you're a car owner, you're a crew guy, so shut the fuck up. Like, you need to let the guys sort it out. So I didn't like that. I understand that sport costs a lot, but the drivers need to sort it out, and then the car owners need to sort it out. I've just always felt that way. So they roll around or whatever, shit gets broken up, and then again, like, our race cars, we still got a race car all the way on the top of it. And I just feel like in a scenario like this, people race aggressively. That's just our sport. People are going to chop you. People are going to, run maybe not the cleanest sliders. I just feel like, and not being biased in any way, I just felt like it was completely unnecessary at that point in time for such an aggressive chop into the corner. Now, I will say this. I think in no way did Scott have any intention of hitting Sam's right front at all. I think that's...
Yeah, I don't think he... I honestly, I don't think he wanted to end me right there. I really don't think that. But, that was my part. Because I don't think anybody ever goes, man, I'm going to knock this guy out right here, because what can happen to your car is detrimental too. So, I never ever think that. I never think, man, this guy's intentionally aiming for me. But I guess the part that pissed me off the most about it is I didn't intentionally want to drive straight into your race car if that's what you thought I did. So why are we have the owner or the crew guy or whoever wanting to fight me? Why are we you got to have at least a level head. Honestly, dude, I was ready to walk away. I was after I'd heard what their side of it, I knew we weren't going to have a common ground. So I was ready to walk away, and then, I got pushed in the back. So obviously that escalates things as well. But I guess that's my biggest problem is I never think a guy just, oh man, he took me out on purpose. I guarantee he didn't want to wreck his car, and I don't want to wreck mine. So I get that. That was not the part that I was mad about at all. Not at all. Trust me, it ain't the first time I'm going to be wrecked, and it ain't going to be the last time. I'm sure I've been on the other side of it, whatever the case. But the difference is I don't feel like I was trying to fight this guy. I just that's the part that bothered me the most. You don't have to go over here and take complete blame for it. That doesn't I get it. But at the same time, I don't see how you can 100% think that I just tried to take you out. Why the fuck would I drive straight in the side of you? What good would that do for me? That's not, what was that going to do for me? Honestly, I'd already had my mind made. I'm going to roll to the bottom. He's got such a run on the outside that I know if he runs the top, he's going to have the lead out of 4. And I know, okay, well, I'm going to run in second until we get to lap traffic and maybe have an attempt to pass him back at some point. And that's honestly where I thought the race was going to go. The start didn't go my way. Try to zing across 1 and 2 and make up some time. And I left a lane for him on the top, and it felt like to me inside the race car, I'm driving. So it felt like to me, it isn't that he just made a chop. He made a really big chop, and nothing that I could ever, if he chopped me to the middle, I'd have been okay. I probably could have missed him, but there's no way I could have missed what the abrupt move that he made.
Yeah, I definitely felt like the chop was I'm taking the whole line and I'm going to enter on the bottom and slide across. I just felt like the speed in which he turned left was incredibly aggressive, and I didn't feel like he needed to do that. We're not even to lap 1 yet, but we see that, and it's the same thing. Caleb Montgomery and I wouldn't even call it an issue. We raced hard this weekend, and we talked today on the phone. Just there were some things that I didn't feel good about that I wanted to talk about and kind of get his perspective, because I'm a Caleb Montgomery fan, and I think he's a badass driver. And he made the comment to me, dude, this is like Supercross now. And that makes me crazy because it's not. Like, this is not like Supercross. Guys in Supercross, yes, they get hurt. But guys here, they don't make it home. And we've seen this with, Jason Johnson. We've seen this with, several other drivers throughout the last handful of years not make it home. And when that happens, that's the end of the straightaway. So when we're making abrupt moves at the end of the straightaway, fuck yeah, you got to chop a guy. But to me, chopping a guy is I'm sliding myself. I'm slowing his momentum down so he can't slide himself. I'm still leaving him the lane on the bottom, but I'm driving across. I'm grabbing the cushion. I'm going to maintain the momentum. Where this guy now has to roll the bottom, and he has to slow himself up. When you get to the point where, like, there's accidental contact made, well, already we have an issue. Like, we're way too close to be chopping somebody and making accidental contact like that. So I just think, in reality, I think he had a misjudgment, and I think that was I get being upset. I get rolling around. I like all that shit. I think that was good for everybody. Like, get that shit out. But the car owner on the racetrack is a big problem to me. That needs to stay in the pit area, and that needs to be a conversation for later. Let the drivers sort it out because they're the ones with all the adrenaline going on. And then I feel like, if we're going to chop guys, which is what's going to happen, that's part of the racing. Like, man, be leery of that because that's what happens. You wad up race cars when you cut it too close.
JJ, you've been pretty quiet. You were actually the person that was giving everyone the live updates as it was happening. What were your thoughts?
I was just getting live updates from all my friends watching. I didn't actually get to watch it live, but yeah, man, I mean, just like kind of like Dom said, I like Scott as a person. I've always gotten along with him good. Extremely hard racer, extremely aggressive. There's not a lot for me to say that these guys haven't. I definitely can see how it happened. I know Scott, like he gets by Sam, or he's got enough momentum for Sam to kind of disappear in his peripheral. And so he thinks that he's going to be able to clear him by, I bet you he was probably about 3 feet off on what his calculation was to just be able to come across his nose and just come out of that corner in the lead. And like, you hate to see something like that on lap one, but I understand every part of it. It was a fast racetrack. Whoever got out of that first lap in the lead was definitely going to have control of the race. It was going to be tough to pass. So, but even then, the biggest thing is, man, you got to leave a guy an out. You got to leave a guy an option to not crash. And whenever there's no option, crashes are going to happen. It's just super aggressive racing, 2 guys going for the win, but you hate to see it. And yeah, the biggest point I wanted to make was the official that was just letting them roll around like hockey style, just letting them go at it was awesome. That guy was great. And besides that, not much to say on it.
I just had one thing I wanted to touch on. Sam tells me he doesn't give a shit about this, but I just want to bring some reality across to some fans. There's a bunch of people that are like, oh, they're a bunch of pussies leaving their helmets on. Look at them hugging. If I was there, I would have done this.
Oh, I've already heard this 100 times. I heard it 100 times.
80 people, I would say 80% of the people that commented on this look like me. We are not going to do good in a fight, people with my body type.
You would have gelatinized on the first impact.
Okay, first of all, Sam never claimed to be a professional fighter, number one. Number two,
I doubt Scott
I
did either.
literally just flipped my dick off, so I was a little woozy coming through there. So I thought, man, me standing up trying to punch a guy probably isn't going to make a lot of contact right now. And I had 2 guys. It was 2 guys against one me the whole time. So I thought, well, I got pushed in the back. I'm going to grab one of them. And if the other guy mauls me, at least I'm only getting mauled by one,
Yeah, I just think all these people like picture themselves like establishing the jab and establishing the jab in the first 15 seconds and going for a double leg. You would look retarded in a fight. 90% of people that commented on this.
I've never seen a sprint car fight that ever looks like that, to be honest with you.
And then I hear people like,
put a helmet on. Put a helmet on. Yeah. Put a helmet on and put neck restraint on, and then let me know how good you're moving around with the helmet and neck restraint.
Yeah. But that's the next thing. Oh, I'd have taken my helmet off, blah, blah, blah. You guys weren't planning on fighting. It wasn't
No.
like
Well,
some...
I've had guys tell me, "Oh man, if I was there, I'd have taken all three of you guys." I'm like, "Oh, thank you, I appreciate it." Yeah,
Gotta
yeah,
hit you with the stone cold stunner.
yeah. It's just classic.
All these friggin' internet tough guys, man, did they pop out of the woodwork. And most of them are in worse shape than me with a longer beard. That's what 80% of them look like.
That
I'm
is
calling
one-
you out.
One point to make is like that was an extremely hard crash to be wrestling at.
For both guys.
Like exactly. I mean, dude, Scott took a hard hit to the way that
Yes.
thing landed and the way Sam shit highlight reel out of the park. Like
Yeah, like dude, I'm telling you,
crash, man.
I was probably like, I don't know if the camera does justice for the banking of that place, but like where I landed was so far down off the racetrack, you can't see my car anymore. So when I finally get out of this thing, no safety crew the first person that approached me was the car owner of the other car. So if that tells you anything,
Making sure you're all right.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly what he told me. But no, I get to the top of the hill there, and I mean, it probably took me 30 steps to get to the top of the hill. Like I was down there pretty far. And then, that was my introduction. Once I got up to the racetrack was, "You piece of shit," or whatever the he said. I don't know. It was basically something along the lines, "I'm going to whoop your ass," and this and that,
And then at the same time, we've seen pictures of Scott's seat. Like Scott took the rear end on the seat. Like,
yeah, I haven't seen any of that stuff.
Both these guys were.
I haven't seen
These
it.
guys were messed up. He sent them to Dylan.
The one thing I will say about it, though, if anybody wants to talk shit on a Triple X race car, they can kiss my ass. Like my car held up extremely well, and it's a car that we've already fixed this year from earlier in the year when when we spun sideways at Beluga there and got hit by McCarl in the front rack, like it pushed the front over. So like we straightened it, and I'm telling you, this car, like I should take pictures of how badass it looks for the hits that were taken. I was very, very impressed. I called them today and expressed my gratitude. You just hear so many people talk negative about it, and I just kind of want to shine light on that, dude. I'm so impressed with the way it looks after that wreck. Definitely a believer for sure.
Dude, I'll
safety bars
my ass off with a Triple X. And dude, I'm telling you, it was cage to wall, and total this race car, and everything held up really sound. I got no problems with those things at all.
Do we have anything else we want to cover here?
Oh, I do want to talk about. I don't know. Obviously, there's not a lot of guys that have the XC Gear monkey bars on their car yet.
That's what I was wondering.
But we did. It's the XC Gear. It's the monkey bars. That's what they call it.
It's like
The safety system for the seat.
It's like it's in the same market that Chasm's in, but that's what we run. And he told me to test whenever we got to test it to tell him the results. And honestly, I'm telling you, everything is so intact. It's unbelievable. And I do truly think that it definitely helped the blow. Like I would say 100%. I think it helped the blow for sure. I think it's, I'm not saying, it per se saved my life or anything like that, but the hits that we took were really hard and unbelievable, the job that it did. And I can't see any damage to the device at all. Like it's unbelievable. I think, if you don't have something like that, I'm not telling you just to go buy the XC Gear, but if you don't have something like that, you probably need to.
So I'm going to actually start coming out with this new deal that Mel at Triple X and we've been working on. It's called GASM, and it's a vibrating safety deal in your seat. And, dude, I'm telling you, it works wonders. It may not be safer, but you're going to be really happy at the end of the race, I guarantee. But if you want
walking funny.
Yeah, and walking funny. But our website's not.
Depends what attachment you put on.
You gotta size it right, Daryl.
You do have to size it right. Like it's definitely, it'd be a per driver kind of thing. You don't want to use someone else's or anything, at least without cleaning it. But our website will be www.largegasm.com. Only just because they're going to start in the large category and then extra large and double X, like nothing smaller than that.
I hate you.
They'll come in other colors too.
Oh, great. Thanks for that,
Blue,
Dom.
blue and yellow and green.
Oh my god.
So racing actually happened.
Yes, there was racing. I just wasn't a part of any of it.
Yeah.
Daryl,
So
I need to tell you that we are completely.
they lost.
We lost again. Yeah.
As many people don't know on the pod, Daryl, Sam, and Dom are all actually Dallas Stars fans, and we just took a tough loss tonight against the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, I was actually watching it while this happened.
Yeah, it was. We've taken a 3-1 series deficit after tonight, so please send your condolences to us. I think I'm probably just going to sit on my gasm right now to feel better.
Hey, Mel, I need you to send 25 packs of gasms, 3X, to the Stars. We need them to sit on that on the flight and get them ready to go. Loosen them up, if you will. Thank you.
Thanks, Mel.
Yep, thanks, Mel. You get that?
Yeah.
You get it?
So
we're loosening them up.
Yeah. So
oh my god.
It's like a plumber in his wrench, baby. Like a plumber in his wrench. Fixing a leak.
So Grandview happened, and Christopher Bell got off to an early lead and looked pretty good, but then Rico Abreu decided to just murder everyone before Sweet made a late race charge. Man, JJ, at the start of the year when I watched Rico, I thought he was off to a terrible start. I thought they were in big trouble, and now it seems like he picks up a win every week.
Yeah, whatever him and Ricky have figured out, they've definitely been one of the fastest cars most every night. Still a little bit less consistent than they probably would like to be, but like you said, he's racing for a win just about every week now. And man, Rico's he does such a good job, and it's so enjoyable to listen to his post-race interviews and the way he breaks the race down. I think he does it in a really unique manner, and he does a really good job of kind of just the play-by-play, like inside baseball type of interview stuff. So, but yeah, man, their car's operating really good, and it seems like Rico's got a really good head on him. It's probably the most maturity I've ever seen him race with, and so it's only probably going to get better here as the season goes on and they build more confidence together.
Dom, I feel like you're generally more up on this stuff than me. Their early season start did get them behind in points. Do you think Rico is fast enough right now that they could work their way back into the title contention?
Man, honestly, I think they're there right now. The top 5 in high limit points are under 70 points to Brad.
Yeah, it's right around that.
I think it's wide open. And honestly, I feel like Brad's had a really good year. He's been consistent, but which probably explains the point lead. But I think Sunshine's been off this year, but I think Brent Marks has had moments of like brilliance, and we're starting to see him click. Rico's absolutely the best car on tour, if you ask me. And then Reutzel, obviously with the biggest win of his career, in my opinion, pretty dominating fashion. I mean, you've got 5 guys that are really tough, and none of these guys are rookies. So I think right now you're going to see a hell of a championship battle, which, I mean, I hate to say it, but dude, that makes it really, really exciting as a fan compared to the David Gravel show on the Outlaw side. Like, it's pretty exciting that it's a wide open top 5 anybody's game right now on the high limit side.
Is that your gasm pre-treatment in your hands?
Yep, right here. This is the Arcaret. This is only for 360s. Sam, I'll send you one of these.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Here's our 410 version. Stackable.
So, Sam, are you seeing a difference?
Stackable.
Kind of like a bump stop, except in your ass.
Jesus. So
should
Sam,
be really comfortable when you drive.
Yeah, exactly.
So Sam, are you seeing a difference in Rico's car and the attitude or anything like that than you saw early in the year? Or what does this car seem to be doing well that other people can't do?
I think his car, like every time I see them go really, really well, it always has the same attitude. And I feel like when they don't get that attitude, obviously they're not as good. And honestly, I think that's like, I really thought they'd go to Port Royal and light the world on fire. And they were there. They just weren't as dominant as I thought they would be a dominant race car at Port Royal. I really did think that. And they just, I don't know. I just don't feel like they ever, I mean, it's not like they didn't have speed. I think they unloaded the first on the rain night. I think he unloaded the fastest car. So it's not like they didn't unload with speed, but maybe they struggled to find what they found at some other places. But I still think it's early in the year for these guys. Like I think there's only more for these guys to go. Like more speed to be found. Like he's able to stick a lot better in a lot of places than a lot of guys are. I'm not saying, man, he's just better in the slick. Like he just looks good across the corner. He looks like he doesn't get affected by dirty air near as bad as other cars do. And honestly, the way he's able to navigate the race car, I think is half of it. Like I'm not going to say Ricky's not doing a great job, but I think Rico is really, dude. He's up to the challenge. He's doing a really. I've never thought Rico was a bad driver by any means, but I feel like this is the best I've seen him. I feel like he's and he doesn't, like, he usually would be a guy that takes some chances in some situations, and he doesn't take chances anymore. Like he's being very mature about, the way he races his car. And honestly, I think it's deadly for these guys. As long as they don't have some bad stuff happen to them, I think they overtake the points by the end of the year.
Okay. So on night one at Port Royal, Brent Marks took a win, and I thought it was pretty impressive because generally at a track like Port Royal, a winner doesn't generally go as uncontested as Brent did. I don't think he had a lot of challengers, and I think that's pretty rare there. But a guy who did put up a fight, who I thought I was very pleasantly surprised to see him run so well, was Lance Dewease. Dom, what do you think of Lance's performance?
He looked really good. He's kind of been hot and cold a little bit in that thing, probably more cold than hot. But, they've had good speed here at the local shows that I've seen him at. And I really think that, they had the attitude to win. They had a car that could have won. So I think that's good that this early in the season that they're showing speed like that at a big event like that with the National Series. There's no question Lance can still get it done. But I think what was more impressive and something that I wanted to touch on that we didn't really even talk about is the 69K a cheat code.
Pretty much.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Yep. No, I didn't bring up the 69K because we already had a video on it that went pretty freaking viral, so I felt like we'd be kind of beating it into the ground that the 69K is really, really fast.
Well, it's not, but you don't even have to say that. Like, everybody knows it's really good. It's obvious. Like, I thought, Daryl, did we ever talk about what Christopher Bell said about how the car drove? Did we ever bring that onto the camera?
I don't know if we actually did, but basically Christopher said it was like the most predictable car he's ever driven. And so often when crew chiefs are setting up a car and it's like, oh, we need more grip, a crew chief just goes, okay, we'll tighten you up. Whereas he says Kreitz will actually get him grip. It won't, and the car will still just drive the same. It will just have more grip. And that sounds really basic, but I think you guys can attest to this. Yeah. That's not normal. That is not common.
Not at all. Not at all. There isn't, like, just so the average fan, there isn't this code that says this equals more grip. That isn't a code that we have. There's no rule book that says, yes, this makes more grip. It's not a recipe. So obviously Don Kreitz knows about it better than a lot of other people do.
So getting back to Dewease, Sam, what makes Dewease so tough? Like, he's not a guy that's going to knock down the cushion, but man, on certain surfaces, he's really good. What kind of describe him as a driver and what makes him good?
Well, I just think, like, when I've raced out there, you see, like, you see the good cars roll through the middle and they rip good and everything, but like, that's not just the race car. Like there's certain guys that can do that better than others, and I really think like with Dewease, man, everybody's he's old and blah blah blah, but I mean, dude, like we just talked about how cutthroat racing is now, and how we talk about this all the time, how everybody's raised the wick up and everybody's this. So like you would think, oh, an older guy has no chance. But like what's so badass to me about Dewease is I've seen him still run when it's fast or whatever and have speed. Is that his best condition right now? Well, hell no, it's not. But what's very impressive to me, you go in the 69K, and I'm not afraid to say this at all. He dominated in that car. He dominated, absolutely dominated. Nobody else has gotten in that car since him and dominated. And I think I think they do owe a lot of success of that car to Lance Dewease. I feel like if he's in that car right now, I'm not saying maybe they go to Knoxville and do as good, but I feel like in their area, going to Williams Grove and going to Port, if they would have kept him in the car for those races, I still think they dominate and win a lot of races with him. He has an it factor at those places that a lot of guys just don't have. Am I going to say that he's the best all time in PA? Like, there's so many good guys to compare to, but I do think he is definitely next level PA guy. I think very few guys can do what he does. And what really shows that to me is he's gotten in this 12 car in a year's time and is already being right up front at these big shows. And I think later in the year, he's going to be right in contention again.
So kind of switching gears with the same race. JJ, I know you're a big wrestling fan. Is there a driver that embraces being a villain right now more than Aaron Reutzel? And what did you think of his performance taking home the 100,000?
Yeah, so I did see a little bit of the end of that race, and I've definitely seen all the highlights of his post race interviews and celebration. Man, I love it. I think his interview is awesome. Like, I was happy to see him win, honestly, and like hell of a performance to regroup there and just stay level headed after Macri got by him, and to be able to work back by him, I thought was good. He got bailed out as well a little bit by the yellow, if I'm correct. Honestly, I don't know. Okay, yes, but either way, to be able to regroup and know a guy's right there breathing down your neck for that much money and still just execute like he did, I thought was pretty awesome. But man, I just love his the way he embraces it, and just I can't hear you because I got money in my ears. He says, like, he cracks me up, man. He's the perfect villain, and it's awesome that he embraces it. He's good for the sport for sure.
Dom, what do you think of his performance? I feel like you were probably pretty impressed there the way he regrouped after Macri got him on the restart.
Yeah, I really was. And honestly, like, there was a time a few years ago where I felt like Reutzel was hands down the best guy in the country. Like, I mean, he would just roll in anywhere. He could beat the Outlaws. He could beat the All-Stars. I mean, he could beat anybody. And I think he's back to that point where it's like, it don't matter what I'm racing, who I'm racing. Like, we can win. And like, this sounds kind of stupid, but he reminds me right now of like a kid who has like found himself, where he's like, hey, I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm comfortable being the bad guy. And I feel like that gives him energy, and he's feeding off that. And it's just growing his confidence and growing his momentum into something like, I think it could be even bigger. I mean, the guy sat on the pole of the Knoxville Nationals before. He's been fast at Eldora. He can win at Eldora. He's won it at Williams Grove. He can, he's fast there. So, like, I'm looking at, he's one of those guys that he could win any of the big crown jewel events across the country at any given time, and he's just done that. So now that he's got a taste of his biggest win of his career, even though he's won big races before, now he's got a six-figure payday. I think that you give Aaron a taste of money like that, and you better watch out. I do think that he's so talented already, but I think he just awakened a beast.
Sam, you obviously raced a lot of years with Aaron. And right now, he looks like one of those guys in contention for the title. What is Aaron's biggest strength and what is Aaron's biggest weakness as a racer?
Honestly, I think his strength right now, most people don't do well with, the barking back of fans and it fucks their head up, And I don't think that does that to him. Like, I think it's firepower for him. Like, it's, he goes into, like, we seen him early at the beginning of the year and it looked like he was pretty hot. And then it almost kind of like felt like, we were predicting like, man, he's going to win a bunch of these races. He could take the point lead. And then like he had a lull period. And then he goes to BAPS and then they put him to the back and, the fans are bitching this and that. And like, it's like they lit a fire under him. And like I say, not every guy can race like that. And obviously, like Dom says, like, I feel like he feeds off of it. He's like I think the only problem he's going to have, if he does have a problem, is I feel like you start rubbing up on the wrong guys. Like, example of Danny Dietrich a couple of years ago at Grandview, and Danny took him out, whatever. Like, you start doing that kind of stuff, then obviously that messes with your your end of the day result, and that can attribute to some bad stuff. And I don't really see him driving. I mean, I know we saw him, whatever, you essentially chop this guy in the middle of the straightaway and they put him to the back. But the guys up front and the guy, like, I would say the guys that maybe he respects, I don't see him driving these guys dirty. And if he's the bad boy guy that everybody wants to say, and he's just doing it to these guys that are maybe, I don't know, like maybe not the main guys, he doesn't have to race those guys. So when he's not having to race these guys, like, I don't think Macri's going to, I need to get back at Reutzel, or none of these guys are thinking like that, because he's not doing that. And I think before, maybe he was getting into confrontations with guys that could cause problems for him. And I think he's getting smarter to know, like, when he can do what he needs to do. And honestly, like, I know people think he's, the people would call him dirty and all this shit, but I think he's cleaned a lot of it up. And I think he's not, I mean, obviously we've seen what happened and all the buzz, but I don't think he's what he used to be. And I think if he can stay clean on that side of it, I honestly think he's going to be dynamite. Like, I don't see, like, their car's super fast. And I feel like this win really propels them to win a lot more races. I thought they were kind of going through a soft spell there for a little bit. And I thought Grandview was going to be a race he would do well at. And he did. I just thought he would do a little bit better. And then, he comes to Port Royal, and obviously the second night, that was one thing I wanted to hit on in the feature. He's running the top. Macri shows a nose, whatever. And, like, to be able to move from the top to the bottom, usually your car, most guys' cars at that place aren't two-dimensional. Like, there isn't a guy pounding the wall that can go run the bottom. Like, usually your car can't do that. Hence, like, the 69K, it's not usually good around the top, but you run around the middle, it runs good. And I was surprised to see how good he ran top or bottom. It didn't really matter. That was really impressive to me.
Can Dom, can you expand on how hard that is to go from, like, racing around the top to, oh shit, time to run the bottom? Because Donnie talked about it last week on the pod with gravel in the Knoxville Nationals.
It's like you're running a whole different racetrack. The style of driving, the way you enter, and then you get used to the speed you're entering on the top. And if you overdrive the bottom at all on your entry, you're gonna miss it, and then you're totally screwed. And if you don't take enough speed in there, you're just not going to carry. You're not going to be fast. So I most of the time running the bottom takes a lot of footwork and a lot of technique, and it kind of takes a lap or two to get, for a normal guy that's on their game, it takes, a corner or so at least to get an idea of how hard you can run it in there. So to be able to do that full speed like that's just, it's high level shit, man. I mean, he's operating at a really high level, and it's just a whole bunch of little stuff like that you don't even really see or notice until you point it out or until you're just key in on it. But he's doing all the little stuff really, really well.
Yeah, I think to adapt to that as quick as he did was pretty impressive to me. If he was running the bottom and then had to move to the top, I think a guy like him can pick that up right now.
Exactly.
And then, but him going from the top to the bottom to know not to overcook the entry, to hit it right, like that was impressive to me. Like I thought, man, okay, he's going to play right into Macri's hand here. Macri's just going to drive around him. And honestly, like there was sections in there where he was pulling back away. Like I was impressed.
JJ, we had a few World of Outlaw drivers make a rare appearance at Port Royal with big money on the line. Did it surprise you who went and who didn't go? And what do you think of the performances of the guys who did go?
Yeah, for that much money at a place like that, I was kind of surprised a guy like, Sheldon or a couple of those guys might have made that trip. But logistically, I don't know what they've got planned and everything. A lot more goes into it than just driving a few hours and showing up and racing, especially with a race on Monday in Ohio for the Outlaw guys. But yeah, the fact that Gravel showed up, I thought was not really that surprising. He's made it pretty clear they like chasing money, and he's so fast with the Outlaws all the time that he's got a legitimate shot to go win six figures that night. So some of the other guys, I think it just makes sense just trying to build teams and get laps. Who all showed up? I mean, Hampton, it kind of makes sense. He's been, before his big crash, he's been rolling really good. So, and seems like he's exceptional on big slick half miles. That's been their strongest suit. And so for him to go there actually did make sense to me. And Williamson's just trying to build a team, build a notebook and get laps. So that made sense. I don't even know if he was there. He was at Williams Grove though.
To defend JJ was actually racing at Burlington, so he hasn't seen everything.
He's only been able to do that. Really?
Dom, I know you were really interested in the Outlaws coming. You'd actually asked a question in the group chat. What were your thoughts after you saw the Outlaw guys race Port Royal?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of ran how I expected them to. I think there was 3 Outlaws that were there: Zach, Schuhart, and David. And I think Schuhart and David did exactly how I thought they were going to do. They were quick time in both groups. They did well in their heat races. They both got into the redraws, and both of them, I think they both ran inside the top 5, or they were both in the top 7. But they had strong runs, and that's kind of exactly where I figured they'd be. I think David would have had a shot at more had he not started 9th or 10th or wherever that was in the feature. But I think it proved that the top Outlaw guys and the top high limit guys, they're right on top of each other. And like kind of what we had said earlier was, we've gone back and forth. Like right now, I think the Outlaws are better. Right now, I think high limit's better. And, I think that those top 5 guys, they're pretty even right now. And I think both series are pretty even. Where it gets tough, I think, is a lot of the high limit guys don't have near as much Outlaw experience as what the Outlaw guys have. Like Tyler Courtney never ran with the Outlaws. He never ran an Outlaw season. Reutzel, that was just the first one he ran when he got, in trouble and didn't finish the year. So, those 2 guys there are really good guys that just haven't raced full time on the national scene. So now that we see them running on the national scene, it's really interesting to see how those regional guys are really, really good, and they're picking it up fast. So I think both series are equally tough. I think there's just a lot more parity in the high limit scene, just because I think Gravel's so dominant and so good and so consistent. It's a lot harder for the other guys to actually pick up victories.
Sam, at the start of the year, we basically felt like the top 5 Outlaws were probably tougher than the top 5 high limit, but we've had Rico and Reutzel and Marks really step up. Do you think this race was an accurate reflection of that? Do you think we're going to go for, like right now, there's people in my, people message me on Twitter saying, you thought the Outlaws were so much better. Well, look now. I feel like it's going to be very racetrack to racetrack dependent on which series looks good. Do you think that'll be the case?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Port Royal just really hasn't been an outlaw type of racetrack. I think like if you take the Outlaws to Williams Grove, I think they're going to outrun, the high limit guys. I feel like that. But also the beginning of the year, the Outlaws were running a lot more races than what high limit was. Now high limit's starting to run a lot more races and getting more track time. Teams are building notebooks, like they're getting better. So we've always said this from the get-go. I feel like the names throughout high limit are spicier names. Like to me, just they seem like if you looked at the two lists, you go, oh man, that's pretty spicy. And then you look at like the Outlaws and, you have really good guys, no doubt about it. I don't know. It just seems like the high limit guys just have more pizzazz with their names and who they are, their driving styles, and the outlaw guys, they're still fast. Like I don't go, man, this guy's slow. Like they've got really good deep competition. And the other thing that the Outlaws are bringing to the forefront are these younger guys. They're so-called rookies. These guys are coming to the table. Like this is the best average rookie class like I've ever seen in my life with the Outlaws. Like they have 5 guys, and everybody at the beginning of the year, they counted Hampton out, and Hampton's really made a good showing. Wyndham has been really consistent lately. Schoenberg's kind of coming alive too. I think Macedo's had these moments of greatness and then kind of had some odd nights, but he's there. Garrett Williamson has been solid all year long. I think people think less of those guys some.
Conor Morrell too.
They don't.
You got to mention.
Yeah, Conor Morrell lately has been on fire.
Right.
On fire. And I think people think less of these guys, but I feel like these guys aren't bad at all. I think that because you think about the backside of high limit right now. Your last 5 guys. I would think the last 5 guys or the 5 rookies with these guys are definitely every bit as good as those guys. I just think your 2nd through 5th guys just have a little pizzazz, a little more spice. But I mean, if we did head-to-head comparisons, I would say, okay, first place in points, Gravel is ahead of Sweet. Second place in points, what do we got right now? It bounces back and forth every week. Schuhart, Kofoid, Macedo's kind of back out of it right now. But, you put Courtney up against that. I still think Kofoid or Schuhart have them beat. You go to the third place driver who we got Marks now.
You're forgetting Rico and
Reutzel. Yeah, Rico's 4th in points.
Okay.
I'm not there yet. So then you got third place Marks. I don't think he's better average than Kofoid or Schuhart. And then, we get to 4th. Who's in 4th now? Macedo. I think Rico is better than Macedo right now. And then what do we get to 5th? And what do we got? Sheldon? So Sheldon and Reutzel, I think that's a toss-up, to be honest, because I honestly think Sheldon's fast as right now. I really think they're good. I think some of the pill draws haven't went their way, and in the times that they have, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but he's not far behind Macedo in points. So Sheldon is in the mix, and I want to say Dom was what's that?
32 points back from Macedo.
Yeah. So and I think Dom had said this earlier. He thought that Sheldon could get right up in there, and I didn't believe it, but I see it now. He's pretty quick. And then then we you get to Schatz and Gio, Baylog. I think it's pretty comparable through all that. So I mean, I think Schatz is obviously having a terrible year. Gio's having a terrible year. They're not up to what they normally could do. And then Baylog, I think, started off pretty solid, and he's kind of fallen off a little lately, it seems like. But I really think that if you compare the series, if we went head to head down the list, Rico's the first guy that wins a head to head battle in the point matchup that I would consider that. So I still think the Outlaws are a tougher series. I still think that, yeah.
So we've gone through the high limit races. Now let's get to the World of Outlaw races. At Attica on Saturday night, Sheldon and Schuhart actually had a pretty good battle with Schuhart coming on top. Dom, what do you think of that show?
I thought it was a great race. I felt like Attica was wetter than it normally is, but for me, it's always so hard to tell, if it's dirty or if it's wet there just from the videos. But I mean, it looked wetter and faster than we've seen Attica. And judging from my brother's performance, I would imagine it had to have been a little bit wetter and faster than normal, because usually that place, when it gets slick, he's like in struggle street. So it was good to see them have a good run. I thought the racing was pretty good. That place is just so weird. Like, it can be dirty and still fast. And, I always feel like, I don't know about you guys, but like racing at Attica, when you come off turn 4, it's so hard to see the cushion and the wall there, especially when you get into traffic. So tough place to race. But I felt like it had a lot of speed, and Schuhart was really, really good. Like, it was a pretty good win for him.
Racing Attica is like racing by braille. Like, you can't see any of your marks or anything, and you're just like waiting to feel something. Like, the lap that I feel like I was going to blow off the edge of 1 and 2 is the best qualifying lap I've ever had there. And it's like the whole time I'm like, shit, and it just barely hangs on. But it's a weird place to race. It's all feel and not a lot of visible, like, there's no visible markers anywhere to really like gauge shit off of. And it's dusty and it's just weird.
So Sam alluded to it earlier, but Conor Morrell really just burst out at Oshweekend there and nearly took the win, and then had another really good run at Attica. Sam, what do you think of Conor's performance?
Yeah, obviously, like, I don't know how well, like, obviously they have the Bill Rose connection with Hampton, obviously. I don't know how much they share notes or they do, but they found something. Like, they've got both of those cars have more grip than I've seen. Morrell's has shown speed all year long. Like, even when we were in Kennedale, I think one of the nights he ran 7th or something. And that's on a heavy racetrack. But I feel like they're starting to be able to go numerous places and be good at a lot of places. And they obviously they're hitting on something really well to get grip when other guys aren't getting grip. And he's really driving. Like, I watched him, at Atomic. Like, Atomic is a place that'll eat you up like crazy, especially 3 and 4. And I watched him. I mean, I know he got into the wall a little bit, but like, I watched him. He looks like he has really good car control. Like, he's doing all the right things. I think even Gravel complimented him at Oshweekend, like, saying like earlier in the year, he just told him he needed to calm down, and he does look like he's doing that. It looks like he's driving with a lot of car control and confidence at the same time. So he's one of those guys that probably a lot of people would have overlooked at the beginning of the year, but he's definitely coming out of his shell, and he's looking really good.
JJ, we're starting to see him run really good, and like Sam said, he had some early year speed. What will be a successful second half for Morrell, in your opinion?
I would say just keep up, the consistency of having more speed. Kind of like what Sam said. It's pretty obvious they found something, and he's got a lot of grip just about everywhere they go. And man, the kid's obviously got talent, and he's improving at an insanely fast rate. And so I would say just keep making all the laps and making all these shows and just getting himself in position where he can be in these high pressure situations. And, even if he falters a couple more times in these situations, you keep beating on the door and eventually he's going to break through. At Oshweekend, if anybody but David Gravel wasn't going to get by him there, that was an extremely impressive run. So it was just, just stay the course and keep on building on what they've got, because clearly they're accelerating pretty quick.
Dom, I don't think you've raced Morrell very much, but what are you seeing when you watch him?
I think it's just like now that he's on the road, like really on the road, you either get better.
Isn't he on Gasm?
I don't.
Just
I'd have to look.
recently.
Was he? I know that they were
Daryl
going to test.
Daryl got him one at Oshweekend. That was the first night.
Yeah, they were going to test the
Daryl
new.
Makes sense. Makes
They were
sense.
Right.
pulsing, Gasm 2, but I'm not sure if they had it in or not. I know they had it, but I don't know if they had it in.
You get done with that Gasm, you take one of them tub of towels, you wipe that bad boy off, and you're on to the next one.
The tub of towels.
Oh my God, the tub of towels is over the top. Over the top.
Yeah.
Oh.
Try to hit. Okay, Dom.
That was funny. Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. No more funny stuff. Back to the butt plug safety feature. Okay. Conor Morrell, he, now that he's been on the road for a little while, it's to the point where, you either got to get better or you get eaten up, and they're getting better. And, he's, I'm looking at it, he's last in outlaw points. And a lot of people are like, wow, that sucks. But that's really not the case at all. I mean, that's how deep I feel that the national series are on both sides. That Conor Morrell could probably go anywhere as a regional driver and win. But when you take that next step and you're racing some of the best guys in the world, it's a learning process race car wise. It's a learning process as a driver. And I think we're starting to see that. He had moments of brilliance with the All-Stars. He had moments of brilliance last year. And I think that you're starting to see, as a driver, he's just, gaining knowledge as a driver and gaining knowledge, on their race car on what to do to make it better. So I've seen an insurgence with them. I think Skylar G, just going right up the list, has been doing really good. Zach Hampton's been fast. Everyone knows my thoughts on Cole. I think Cole's badass. But Schoenberg was even pretty good here the other night. And Garrett Williamson.
We're getting... Yeah.
All of these rookie
We're getting
guys.
to Schoenberg later, yeah.
But all of these rookie guys really are doing a fantastic job as rookies. And like what Sam said, it's a very tough group of rookies. And I'll say it too. I think Zach Hampton has been the most impressive of the rookies. I did not expect him to have the speed he's had at all. And they've really had good mile per hour.
The Outlaws went to Atomic, which I always feel like could be this badass track, but I feel like it takes rubber a lot. They had a pretty decent race. Macedo came out on top over Cole Duncan. Sam, what do you think of the race?
Well, I just, I had some inside info to where I guess they might have brought in new dirt and kind of were mixed up on how much water, how much not water. And obviously I feel like that hurt them quite a bit, but I honestly wanted to see Cole Duncan win. I thought it would have been really badass.
Me too.
And I think people don't realize how good he is at that racetrack. He's phenomenal there. I don't know. I thought the race was dog shit, to be honest. I know they had tried working the track earlier in the night, but I really think they should have waited to try to work the track maybe right before the B, or, I think they would have saved the race, at least half the race, I would think would have been a little bit better. They couldn't even lap Bryce Lucius, which was running 20th something place, so that tells you when you can't lap the 20th place race car or whatever the case, 20th, 22nd, whatever place that was. A guy like Macedo, he's not going to mess that up. He's done it long enough now where in situations like that, he did exactly what he needed to do. He knew he needed to get to the lead first. He's got a way of, even if it doesn't look like he jumps a start, he gets the lead going into one somehow. Like, he's really good at starts, probably the best outlaw at starting a race. And I just think that, Cole obviously had the better race car the whole race, but when you get rubber down like that, it really takes Cole's strengths out of it. I mean, I feel like that was a race he should have won. He could have won. I mean, he went out extremely late in qualifying and put down a hell of a qualifying lap. A lot of guys couldn't have done that. I was really impressed with his whole weekend and just sad to see that he didn't win the race.
JJ, every time I've talked to drivers and done polls about like the most underrated driver, Cole Duncan is a name that always comes up. You had one of your best races at Atomic there, where you actually outran him. Can you talk about how good Cole is, what his racing style is like, and why he's so good at Atomic?
Yeah, man, he's a really clean racer, and he drives the car really hard, but it seems like he's just mastered getting his wing back sooner than everybody else and making grip. Whenever it's one lane around the top, he's usually able to be the guy that can cut down across, and he's definitely the master of Atomic. He has been for probably a decade plus, and man, if you weren't rooting for him last night, it's like rooting for a 1 seed to beat a 16 seed. It's like, man, I was, everybody wanted him to win. It would have been awesome just to see the underdog take it. I don't think he has an outlaw win. He's been on the front of a few of them there, but yeah, his style, he's just I feel like he's a racer's racer. He shows up, it's him and his dad, and they usually have a pretty fast race car, especially when it's slippery. And he's just a guy that I think everybody in the pit area respects. And I mean, I don't know what exactly makes him special at Atomic, but they said some stat on the Outlaw broadcast of like 100 races he's ran there or something. He'd won like 50 of them. I mean, I don't know how extreme it was.
Yeah, 43 or something.
It was something insane. It was almost over 50%. Like it was pretty crazy stat. And so, yeah, the dude's just got it figured out, and yeah, hell of a race car driver. And it was a damn shame to not see him get it done. I really liked his interview after the race. It's like, if you don't win, it doesn't really matter. Like it was definitely, it's just you could feel the pain. Same with Morrell's interview. It's like these races are so hard to win, and guys like Cole and even Morrell, it's like, who knows when they're going to be in another position to win a race like that. But especially for a guy like Cole Duncan, because they only come to his neck of the woods once or twice a year.
Hey, Daryl. So going about on who's going to get a win this year, we talked about this earlier in the year, and then I think we all decided we thought Cole Macedo was definitely going to get one this year. Did we all decide that?
No. I said no rookie would win. I said no rookie.
Yeah, Daryl said no rookie would win. What was what did you say, JJ?
I don't remember, but I thought that I said that Cole would get a win.
So you thought Cole would get one before Wyndham?
Yeah, I thought that Cole was probably the only rookie that would get a win. I think was my
like right now. I think Wyndham and those guys are about to. I think they're about to start running this good all the time.
Yeah, he's getting
like they're
consistently fast.
Yeah, like you could just tell the way he's driving the car. He looks way comfortable compared to what he did at the beginning of the year. I think those guys are about to start clipping off some really good runs at a lot of nights. I think I think it's changed. Like I'll tell you, at the beginning of the year, I thought even Cole Macedo, where he was, would pull out rookie of the year no matter what. And now what I'm seeing, I think Wyndham's just going to take off and run away with it.
Dom, do you feel pretty satisfied right now? Do you feel pretty smart after we gave you all that shit for just basically glazing Wyndham earlier in the year?
This is the tough part, is when you are the smartest guy ever born and you just know everything about everything, and then now everyone's seeing how smart you are. It's honestly, it's not enjoyable for me. It's tough for me that I'm always right about these kinds of things, and here we are again, like, God damn it, Chris Wyndham just ran second. Who would have thought this guy? But I still think Cole's going to get a win before him. But I do think they're going to be the only two rookies to win races.
Williamson might be there at the end of the year, though, as far as the Rookie of the Year deal. He's been so consistent the whole time, and they're only getting better too.
Yeah.
So switching gears, everyone was racing sprint cars all over the country. There was an IndyCar race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway that a lot of eyes were on, and a lot of eyes were on Kyle Larson doing the double. And he unfortunately crashed out of both races, and to be honest, took a lot of flack. JJ, do you think it was deserved?
Man, I just think when you get as much praise and as much notoriety as a guy like that gets, it's just going to come with negativity and haters too. I mean, there's so many people that would kill to sit in an IndyCar one time, and this guy doesn't race IndyCars for a living and gets to go drive the Indy 500. So there's a lot of jealous losers on the internet, Daryl, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Does he deserve it? I mean, he crashed his race car. Do you want to kick a guy while he's down? Like, it didn't go very good for him. Like, I don't really understand why exactly he would deserve all the hate. If I was an IndyCar guy, I would take great pride in having him come over and having a shot to beat him every year and show that you're better than who everybody says is the best. So I don't really see anything negative in what he's doing. I don't think it takes away from NASCAR. I think it just adds to everything and everybody around it. I mean, I'm a huge Kyle Larson fan, but I don't really see where the negativity comes from, aside from people are just sick of hearing about him because he's awesome, which I do understand that. He gets talked about a lot, but it's because he's pretty damn awesome.
Sam, what were your thoughts on Larson's run at the double?
I honestly I'm not, I like Indy. I like the race. But without, and I'm not a diehard Indy guy, not at all. Like, I'm not like you. I'm not like my wife's father. But I will watch the Indy 500, and I do like it. But the moment he falls out of that race, like, to me, I honestly didn't even care to watch it anymore. I knew the race was terrible to me. I thought it was the least amount of passing I've seen there in quite a while. Not a lot of action going on. But I want him to do good at that race because I feel like a guy like him in the racing industry, and not just because he's a sprint car racer, but, I feel like drawing the fans to watch Indy because Kyle Larson's there. Like, people seem to forget that he's, has millions of NASCAR fans, and they seem to forget all this stuff. Like, he doesn't just have sprint car fans. He's not just a sprint car racer. And I think, most people listening to this podcast obviously are sprint car fans, but I want to see him do good at that level just to elevate fans watching, Indy, and, because when all these fans can relate, okay, well, who is this guy, right? And they relate it back to sprint cars, which is what he loves to do the best. Like, what it does for our sport is incredible. So I want, like, I hated to see that he fell out. And then obviously the second race when he fell out at the 600, that just a shitty weekend for him, even it's like I told somebody, even the best in the world has bad days, but I just feel like as racers and as, like, they need to see him do good in that race and be contending for a win at the end of 500 miles and then make the plane ride or the helicopter ride or whatever the hell you do to the Coca-Cola 600 and try to contend there, because I really think it would be so badass to watch something like that. And he's, I feel like the only hope to do that. So, yeah, I would have loved to seen him to be competitive in both races.
Yeah, my thing is, I think he was actually better than people think in the IndyCar. He obviously had his pit stop snafu, but he'd started to come through the field pretty good, and he'd made some pretty impressive passes. Like on the opening lap, he made an outside pass going into turn one. The lap he crashed, he just won a 3-wide battle into turn one. I think he was on his way to a top 10 run pretty solidly. But the biggest thing for me is like, when everybody shits on him, how much do you think it encourages the next guy to try it? Like,
Exactly.
Right.
I had a bad one, so I got completely shit on by everyone who could. Think the next guy's lining up to do it? I don't think they are. I think a lot of negativity got brought out of this, and I don't think you're going to see a lot of more attempts at the double. And I think that's sad, and I think people should really think about what the hell he was trying to do. Like, JJ's seen him in an IndyCar live. He went with me to the Indy 500 last year. He fits in. He belongs.
Yeah, he hung with Scott Dixon all day long that day.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah, there's no question to me that he fits in. Like, I don't know. He's so versatile in everything that he gets in. Like, it to me, I'm not saying it's easy, but for him, I think him doing these things, I think obviously with anything, you're going 230 miles per hour in some stints, where I think the comfortability would be really crucial. I think, like, if they are going to run him again, I think he should have multiple times of testing these cars at various racetracks just so he can feel what he needs to feel. Because it's always the unknown. I remember when I first went to go run some pavement stuff when I was younger, you don't know the limit until you do it, right? And you don't know what you can and can't get away with. And I think for him, even a guy as good as he is at everything that he does, every car he gets in, you have to know that spot. You have to know that. Whereas these guys that drive those cars all the time, well, hell yeah, they should have a huge advantage over him. They know where this limit is, that limit is. They should have a huge advantage. And I feel like and I don't know how much, obviously there's a lot of money behind this deal to make it all happen and sponsors and everything. But I feel like for them to really get 100% of what Kyle Larson can do, I feel like he needs more time behind the wheel, and maybe at different surfaces, different racetracks, maybe not even racing, just filling the cars out. I think that would be beneficial to these guys, to the attempt at doing the double for sure.
And if any Formula One fans or IndyCar fans would like to challenge him, please send your best driver to the Ironman 55 and let us know how they do, please.
Or the Chili Bowl. Ask old Ferrucci about the Chili Bowl. He goes.
Well, that's the perfect example. Like, I love Ferrucci.
I do too. He's awesome.
I actually get sad that more people aren't stoked that Ferrucci's there. Like, in an IndyCar at Indy, Ferrucci gets the after it. Like, if there's an aggressive move to be made, he will make it.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And I really wish people would appreciate him driving at Chili Bowl, because that dude is a stud in the Indy 500. If you look up his last 5-6 runs, his record is pretty freaking impressive. He is legit. And I love that he runs the Chili Bowl. I'm going to try to do a long interview with him next year, but yeah, I heard last year was his last year, I'm pretty sure. He told me he's planning on coming back for as long as he can. Good. So the final thing we had to discuss was a little silly season news. The 2KS out of Knoxville that JJ runs with every week, they let go Corey Elias and have decided to go in a different direction. And JJ, you run Knoxville every week. Who would you like to see get in that car? Who do you think would be someone that could fill the shoes pretty nicely?
Dude, that's a tough question right now here. And, we're not even to June yet. And it's just, there's not a ton of, obviously the first thought I feel like in everybody's mind would be Zeb Wise would be a great fit. I don't know, I don't know what Zeb's doing besides working at Sundollar and driving the shit out of his go-kart, but
drinking Big Red.
But like, it's real easy to name off a couple guys like, Zeb Wise is the first one that kind of comes to mind as far as free agents go. But man, Dylan Cisney's another one that comes to mind, but there's not a ton of real, guys that guys available that I don't know what they're doing, even, lower, 360 or regional guys. I feel like everybody's kind of in a committed deal right now as far as not everybody. I'm sure there's some diamonds in the rough that I can't think of off the top of my head, but I don't really have anybody right off the bat to give you, Daryl.
Damn it. You're the Knoxville expert. You're
Well,
supposed to
they
give me
don't race. They don't race Knoxville weekly as much as you say that. Like they've only ran
They
here probably
have.
2 or 3
They've
times this year. But yeah, I
they've
know what you
been
mean.
generally running.
And they're based right down the road here. Like I get it. They're a Knoxville based team, but man, Kelby Watt drove their car last year. That would kind of make a lot of sense, but it's hard telling.
Dom, who do you think they should put in the 2KS if they have their choice?
Cale Thomas.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I think that's the best fit for him. No offense to anybody. I don't want this to sound like I'm bashing anyone here, but that's not a Zeb ride. I think Zeb needs something a little bit more nationally based. I don't want to say a better car. I just think Zeb needs a car that is more traveling than what the 2KS does. So I think personally, Cale Thomas is the perfect fit for this.
Who do you think, Sam? Who would you like to see?
Honestly, like I can't think of one person. And it seems like they've had quite a few people in that car. They've kind of bounced drivers pretty quick, whether it's they're firing the drivers or the drivers electing to leave or whatever the case may be. And I don't, obviously nobody ever understands the reasons half of these things happen, but, for as many, what we would always assume as many free agents there always are is what it seems. You think a seat like this would be people, just trying to get in something like that, because I feel like they have really nice stuff. I feel like they've got a good program. And honestly, I thought Corey was doing a decent job in their car. Honestly, I feel like anytime these teams start switching stuff up so fast, I think it really deters you from ever gaining anything. I really do believe that. I mean, I just, you've had, what did they have? So they had Hunter Schoenberg, they had Eliason, they had Kelby Watt, Randall, obviously. Before that, who'd they have before
Ian
Randall?
Madsen and Ryan Giles.
Like, so the point is, when you're going from driver to driver to driver, and like I say, it's, I just feel like it's hard to ever get common ground on the direction that you're planning on going. Like I say, they look like they have a nice program. And I honestly think that might deter guys from wanting to get in the car because, okay, they'll think, well, how long is this going to last? Is this something where, I can build something? And I think most guys want that opportunity. I think a guy that we said earlier, somebody spouted off Justin Henderson. I think Henderson's a hell of a shoe around Knoxville and, around those areas. I think Henderson's a guy that could do very well in that car. I don't know if that's something that he's wanting to do, but I think because I think me and JJ were talking about it, and I thought Henderson's I feel like he's really technical. I feel like he's a very smart race car driver. I feel like he's a guy, I know that he hasn't been doing a lot of racing lately, but I feel like he's a guy that could do something in a car like that.
I'll throw out a name at you guys that I think this lines up perfect for. Is Jake Bubak. What do you think of that idea?
I mean, if he's willing to do it, for sure.
He hasn't been racing that much this year, I've noticed. So
that's why I assume he's not tied down. I feel like he's the kind of guy that it could be a stepping stone for.
He did get married, so maybe that changes things. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the kind of guy I'd like to see get a shot, where it would be like his first chance at a pretty decent at 410, and like a car that can win any night at Knoxville.
Yeah,
Is capable of making the nationals, and
he's a very talented driver. He's been good midgets, 305s, 360s, 410s. It hasn't mattered. He's a talented guy for sure.
I just feel like, I mean, they were good with Delansky. They were good with Austin McCarl. They were good with Chicken Man. I mean, that car can win races. I don't know where the issue is. Like, I don't know the program, so I don't know if, maybe, there's just differences of opinions. But, I mean, it's shown speed. Why? Like, I mean, when Schoenberg got in there, I thought he was god-awful. Corey hasn't been terrible, but, I mean, just hasn't been great. I don't know. I don't know what they're lacking there, but I think from a driver standpoint, it'd be hard to want to commit to something like that when you don't really know what's going on. But, as a car owner, I mean, you have the ability to change whoever the fuck you want. And you don't owe anybody any, explanation. It's just, it's weird. I mean, some guys jump in it and they're really, really good, and then other guys, aren't. So, I don't know. It's kind of a head scratcher.
Yeah, I think that is like, it's like a commitment from both sides. Like, okay, if you're a driver and say they've ousted guys, like, well, you might not want to go in that deal because you don't want to be a short-lived deal. And then on the owner side, like, you can't tell me that they don't want a driver that they can say, man, this is our guy. Like, obviously they want that. So, man, it's just a hard road, man. It really is. Because I think a lot of people would have a bad taste for, well, they had this guy, they had that guy, they changed this, they changed that. Like, I feel like, they just got to get to a common ground with one guy and commit to that guy and try to build something. I think that's all you can do.
One guy I could see him ending up with, like, in the next year or so, at least for a few nights, would be like a Hank Davis type of guy, like a young kid that's on the gas. I think that's something like that could be a pretty decent fit because, I do feel like Troy definitely wants to do stuff his way, in which he's been doing it a long time. And so you get a kid in there that's just going to buy in, that's kind of, not set in his ways or anything like that. It might be a really good fit for those guys. Cause they have really good equipment, beautiful cars, badass motors. I mean, they have a badass operation and they're a full on team. So for the right person, it could definitely be an awesome fit.
Yeah, Hank would be a suggestion, but he runs Rooster's car, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he's raced like 3 times this year and he hasn't won, so he's guaranteed on the chopping block. We know Rooster.
Well, like, how is that supposed to work for Hank? He runs 3 times, 4 times the first 5 months of the year. Like, I don't.
Yeah, and now Dirt Cup's coming up, dude. That's going to be a tough ask. Like, you don't have very many races in that car at that track to go try and put it on him with a tough show.
Right.
Yeah, I just think we all know Rooster's deal. You're going to race a pile for a couple months and you're not going to race other months.
Yeah, it's a 3-legged dog, right
here. JJ
boys.
Pretty much said Hank's getting fired already.
No, I don't have any inside info. I mean, even if I talk to Austin, Rooster doesn't talk to Austin, so it's like I don't have any inside info or nothing. I know
those are mine and JJ's roots.
That's right.
Those are mine and JJ's roots.
That's how that's how I kind of became buddies with Sam too. We're all out there in 2008 or 9 or whatever, just talking like Borat, tit flipping.
I hope Rooster listens to this. Remember that time you Rooster's mule?
I guarantee you Rooster does not listen to this. And yes, I do.
What a dick, Daryl. What a dick.
Brand new mule.
Brand new mule. Why don't you just back it over the whole fucking race car, Daryl?
I don't think that's what I did. I don't think I did that at all.
Well, you f***ed it up, Daryl, either way.
That's because he tilted like his 4-wheeler up in the 4-wheeler. That was the issue.
Yeah. I hear you.
But anyway, we're rambling here.
Do you at least feel bad?
Oh, I think you know me well enough to know I felt terrible.
Daryl, if you had to pick one guy that's from like up there, not necessarily Canadian, Canada, New York, your realm where nobody thinks about to go drive the 2KS for a while, who would it be? Like after that Outlaw weekend, it's like Jordan Thomas, but like who would it be?
That's who you said?
He had a badass Outlaw weekend, dude.
Did you see the team that ran third?
I know. Well, Dylan ain't leaving home, dude. I know.
Yeah,
that.
he's not leaving home. He's
Like,
staying home.
He's off the table.
Nah, I honestly, we're kind of a weird deal. Like, you, Sam and JJ know this, and I'm guessing Dom's learned this now that Gio's raced at Oshweekend. What you do at Oshweekend doesn't really translate a lot across the country. So like I think our drivers are plenty fine. Like, come and race against us at Oshweekend, and you're gonna have a tough go. Dylan is the obvious answer. He can race on all the surfaces. I think he's backed up how good he is the other week.
Yeah, and like the thing is with Dylan is like he did travel. He's been on a lot of stuff. Like, and honestly, he traveled well. Like, he traveled well. He ran good at a lot of places. Like, from any guy up in that area, he'd definitely be the guy. There's nobody else that even compares to him.
Like, he's won at Knoxville already in a 360. I don't know. I think the name that's JJ's seen run really well, but I don't think Sam really saw him run really well, is there's a kid named Nick Sheridan. He had a 410 at the Outlaw show. I'd say he's probably our next good guy, but I really like the kid we have in our car. We have a 14-year-old in our second car, and he was pretty dominant in Outlaw karts last year back home, and his first race he ran with us, he timed in second quick in his heat race, and we elected to start him last. But I'm kind of really excited to see. It's Sean Evans' kid, Skyler. I'm kind of actually really excited to see how he does and how he progresses. But no, we have really good guys. They're just really good on our surfaces. But they haven't really traveled much.
Nick Sheridan's definitely a good race car driver. There's a lot of them. It was fun watching that race up there with Blake, my crew chief guy, because he doesn't know any of those guys, And I'm like, dude, I said at the beginning of the night, I'm like, that Jordan Thomas, like, especially if it's around the top, like, he's got a lot of speed.
Yeah. Here's the guy I'll say, Jordan Poirier. People never knew how good Steve Poirier's uncle was, and Poirier's. I mean, he's the guy dominating in New York. I think he just had some top 10 runs with High Limit when they came to New York.
I was impressed by his performance inside of the race car.
Yes, he is the bilingual. He can speak to both. Yeah,
Daryl, y'all can't be making fun of the guy.
No,
is
this George Pierre?
It smells like racism.
No. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Everybody knows Canada is a French first country.
I'll go sit on a gasm.
All that matters, Dom. God bless America.
So we're down to talking shit. Obviously. What do we got, fellas? What are we going to talk shit about? I feel like my talk shit would have been making fun of the fans that thought they would be Rocky in a fight in a race out in a race car, but
Oilers need to chill the f*** out. The series ain't over yet.
Yeah, but do we have anything to talk shit about?
Not really. I'm trying to.
Honestly, like this week, I don't really have anything. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm not angry at the world for anything.
Everything's pretty great.
It's good.
Yeah, everybody love it. Everybody love everybody.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we should do.
That's the product.
And put gas and everybody get gasms.
Honestly,
Sam,
I honestly wish. Yeah, I honestly hope everyone who listens to this goes out and gets a gasm.
Yeah,
tonight.
You know what? I'll tell you what, Sam. I'm going to give you a gasm for free.
Man, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Same with you, Daryl. Everybody's going to get a gasm from me for free.
Perfect.
One's free.
Are you going to? You've been sitting there with a pen. Have you been sitting there with a pen the whole time? I assume you're drawing up like the product launch.
No, it's like that's what we call pre-drilling, Daryl. It's like pre-drilling.
Or is that an extra small?
Yeah. Nobody's going to hear a fart from the Bears for weeks.
This episode, gasm safety. Safety comes first and hard with gasm.
Well, fellas, thanks for doing this. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you on episode 52.
Yeah, sorry Dom had to go drop a gasm.
Yeah. Good times. See you next time.
All right, later.